Hello, welcome to part 5 of Serenity in the Trenches. The question we're asking this time is, what do you wish everybody could know, believe, or feel about themselves? So this is a question I've really loved asking because I think it sits at the heart of a lot of the struggles that we experience in our world. You know, in the last part, we thought about how fear shows up in our lives, how anxiety is created, and the sense that the kind of message of selfishness has really corrupted our ability to live in community. The stories we tell and the messages we believe about who we are, they matter. And so in this part, I want to share the responses to this question. And I encourage you to just kind of let these responses wash over you. Some will land, some will resonate with you personally. Others might not feel relevant, and that's fine. You know, there's a message for everybody here, for all introverts and highly sensitive people, creative, gentle rebels. I'm sure you'll hear something that you need to hear, that your inner soul is going to latch onto. So let's start with the idea of imposter syndrome from Boom.
You're not the only one, all right? Almost every single person on this planet goes through some sort of imposter syndrome where they feel like they have no idea what's going on. They don't know what they're supposed to do with their life. They don't know what their dreams, hopes, and desires are supposed to be. They don't know why they're on this planet, and they're completely lost, right? And so it's very common. And so I want people to know that it's a very common feeling to have. Every single person on this planet probably has gone through it at one point or of time, or is going through it right now. And so just forget about it. Pretend like everyone is on the same level playing field, and you're not the only one going through this. And as soon as you realize that fact, as soon as I realized that fact, it was a game changer for me, because I was like, well, everyone's going through it. All right, cool. So it doesn't matter. All right, I'm just going to pretend like it doesn't exist, and I'm just going to keep on going on my path, even though it feels tumultuous, even though it feels scary, even though it feels like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm still going to go fight. I'm going to go into the battle every single day, and I'm going to play this game of life because that's the only thing I really know how to do, right?
Yeah, so the comparison trap keeps us living within this lie that everybody else has it together. We're on the outside. Everybody else is on the inside. The truth is that there is no inside. It's a waste of time and energy trying to kind of get to this non-existent fairyland. So that's just, I don't know, let's get together, live together and rebel together on the outside. It's much more fun out here anyway.
Believe in yourself and know that you matter and that you're valuable and that you have value to offer. But without doing anything at all, you yourself, your being is valuable, you matter. You are a gift in and of yourself, right? But also you do have gifts to offer the world. You do have value to offer and to contribute to society, to the world.
So this self-acceptance is one of the fundamental pillars of serenity, to accept that you are accepted as you are, nothing else needed. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to achieve anything. You just accept your role in the story of humanity as you are, who you are right now. This is the message, the same one coming in different ways from different people, and you'll hear it a few times throughout this episode.
I would love if everyone could know and feel I am enough. Who I really am, at my deepest core, I am enough. If I can listen to that, if I can follow the directions that come from that, I will find my way through any part of life that seems tangled or confusing or depressing. If I could help anyone to know I am enough, I am safe, I am loved, I am seen, I'm enough, I feel like that would revolutionize, it would transform so many of our experiences of life and of the world and of each other.
Yeah, man, this is so powerful. Puts us in a place of rest, of grace, acceptance, relaxation, no fear, no insecurity, just compassion towards ourselves, towards others.
If I could share just one message with you, it's this.
I want you to know that you are perfect just the way you are. You are enough right now in this moment, just as you are. You are lovable and you belong right now. Not when you lose 20 pounds, not when you get a better job, not when you have this perfect person to date, but right now, just as you are enough.
Completely. So spot on, Sarah. And I really like how Tracy Cooper uses the word whole. He says, you are whole just as you are. That you are loved. That life is not as serious as you think it is. We are meant to dance while the music plays. We often hear messages of unwholeness, incompleteness. These messages are told through subtle stories, like when you fall in love and declare that the other person completes you. You complete me. This is just not true. It's disempowering. You don't need anybody else to complete you. You are complete. You are whole. And so when we enter relationships from that position of wholeness, of already completeness, those relationships can become so much stronger, so much more profound. Rather than when we come at them from a position of perceived neediness or dislocation or incompleteness. You don't need that other person to complete you, but you can become a much stronger thing as you come as two complete wholes.
You are here for a reason. And I mean you. Like, everybody in this world is here for a reason. We have a gift that we are designed to be giving to the world. And I think the world that we live in at the moment really undermines that belief for sensitive people in particular, that we're taught to believe that our sensitivity is a weakness, that the skills that the world requires are different from the skills that we possess. And I think that's so wrong. I think the world desperately needs the contribution of more sensitive people. And we need to start owning the value of what we can bring to the world, and the world would be a much better place if we did.
Yeah, it's a beautiful reminder from Alice. Even though it can feel like you don't fit with the normal molds, the normal ways of being, you've just as much of a place in this world as anybody else. Your ways of being, your ways of seeing, your ways of creating, they're unique, they're needed right now so, so badly. You're a rare breed. And the world needs you to keep becoming more of who you are.
Something that's always true is that our aim shouldn't be happiness. It should be for our emotions to be in tune with reality. So, I should be happy when there's things to be happy about. But when stuff sucks, I should be angry, I should be sad, I should be scared. Because those negative emotions are the things that help us to change those situations. So actually aiming to have your emotions in tune with reality is a more helpful state than just aiming for pure happiness.
Yes, Neil, the happiness fallacy. It's a false start. Like, we bang on about it. All I want to be is happy and so on. But happiness is a fleeting moment. It's the byproduct of living in tune with these other things that we're talking about. In fact, it's usually a feeling that we only identify after we've experienced it. We might look back at something that happened earlier today and think, oh yeah, I was happy. It's not the point, it's the byproduct.
The gist of my big picture concept of what to do when the world falls apart is to remind myself that it's normal. One of the most constant things in this universe is change. The universe is literally expanding, and tomorrow is literally different. Every day is different, and it might not emotionally cheer you up, but I think logically it gives hope. So like when I had clinical depression, that's something I was trying to remember. Like, okay, I'm crying on the floor today, may not do that tomorrow. So emotionally it wasn't cheering me up, but it gave me something to remember.
I really love this reminder from Thea. It reminds me of the adage that, this too shall pass. What is won't last forever. And as hard as this might be to grasp at times, if we can hold on to some thread of it, we can find a way through the feelings and emotions that might feel oppressive and inescapable while we're sort of struggling and suffering within them. Change is the only constant. We always have the opportunity to adapt, to learn, to grow, to contribute.
I would share that everything is actually okay. I really believe that. I really think that everything is okay on planet Earth. I know things are tumultuous. I know it seems like a roller coaster, especially if you do watch the news. And I do recommend that all highly sensitive people stop watching the news. I just like to say that. But if you are watching the news, it seems like this big tumultuous roller coaster. And I don't think that's true. I think there's a lot of stuff going on. We're really figuring a lot of big stuff out right now. But I believe that we all came to this planet to have this experience together. I think we really are all connected. I think that we really love each other so much. We agreed beforehand to go through this experience together on Earth, and it's a beautiful thing. And it can be a lot of fun. If you release a lot of the fear, it can be a lot of fun.
Lauren is so spot on here. I don't know about you, but I can end up getting really serious and losing my sense of fun. When this happens, that story I'm telling myself about the world starts to become reality. You know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. There's a Radiohead song called They're There, which has the line, just because you feel it doesn't mean it's there. I often remember this, remind myself of this, when I'm in the midst of that kind of self-sabotaging storytelling process where I'm telling myself, like, I feel this about this thing. But just because I feel it doesn't mean it's there. It doesn't mean it's true. It doesn't mean it's real.
I think I'd want to say, this story you're telling, whatever it is, you don't have to cling to it. There is so much more than you can see right now. More space for you to relax into, so many more chances to explore than you realise. Try and leave some space for more things to be true. You'll be okay. Our minds shape every experience, every interaction, every choice, every relationship we'll ever have. They shape our communities and the planet itself, and yet we run them mostly on autopilot and quickly get stuck in very limiting, blinkered, and often damaging, painful ways of seeing and behaving. And our minds simply aren't as reliable or as helpful as we think they are. There's a lot going on in there which needs looking at and challenging, gently, skillfully, and kindly, but none of us are really taught how to do that well. So I'd encourage everyone to decide for yourself that you're going to learn more about your own mind, about consciousness itself. There are some incredible teachers out there. Read books that explore topics like this on self-compassion, ACT therapy, happiness, mindfulness, neuropsychology. Commit to meditation if you haven't already, and don't just talk or think about this stuff. Endless thinking is the problem, not the solution. Act on what you learn. Change your habits one day at a time. Be prepared to do things differently.
Oh, I love this, Josie. Yes. Like, try and leave some space for more things to be true. You'll be okay. Wow. We're driven by this perceived scarcity thing a lot. You know, the word enough appears all the time in these responses. It's a beautiful thing. And I think it just speaks to these times that we live in. You know, maybe in times gone by, these concepts would probably have been a little bit like, what are you talking about? Like, you're enough. What do you mean by telling people they're enough? Like, where's that come from? Because scarcity is manufactured everywhere. It's reinforced over and over. Not simply in the places that it truly does exist, you know, finite resources. Yes, there are things that will run out. But also in places that, when manufactured, can be harvested. Such as us, human beings. Like, when scarcity is created within us, we become more competitive, more envious, more dissatisfied, more distrusting, more isolated from one another and suspicious and all of that stuff. All these things that drive wedges through communities. When we look at others and believe that they have enough, that they are enough, that they do enough, that they are, you know, have got all this enough in order to be accepted, in order to be on the inside. And we fail to see the struggles that they experience in exactly the same way that we do. You know, the need for significance, for attention, for recognition, to be accepted, to fit in, to belong. And so everybody is encouraged to act out of this place of scarcity and fear within their own hearts. And all that does is produce more and more of the same. This message is reinforced that if only you had this other thing, if only you had more of that, then you would be happy, then you would belong, then you would, you know, be complete. And serenity is developed when we find the beauty of acceptance at the fundamental level of existence, when we reject these messages that tell us to be afraid. Instead, to be here, now, where you are, present, enough. And to open up the abundant space for more things to be true.
Smack that fear in the face, because your worst case scenario is probably just in your head. I was scared to death, literally. Andy will verify this. I was scared to death. I thought there was no way I can become self-employed. I'm not a risk-taking entrepreneur. I was in a governmental job that was quote-unquote steady, it was just boring me to death. Don't be afraid of uncertainty and doubt and risk. You're actually in that regardless. It's just you're more aware of it when you dive into it and attack it head on. But that's how good stories are made, right?
Yeah, Jim is right. What can we do with our worry around uncertainty and doubt? Yes, we might feel it, but how can we let it energize us rather than paralyze us? Realize that we're all in the same boat. We all feel this stuff. You're not alone. Reach out, build community, connect with others. Pretty soon, if you are vulnerable and honest about the stuff that you're feeling in this way, people will soon relax and feel the permission to say, oh, thank goodness, me too. We're all alone feeling the same things. And all it takes is someone with the courage and bravery to admit it. And pretty soon we'll all realize that none of us are alone in that.
Again, as introverts, as highly sensitive people, we often do feel alone because we don't see ourselves out there, or we don't notice ourselves out there. We tend to notice the people talking more, doing more. And so and then if people aren't talking like we talk, aren't seeing what we see, and that's often what I hear from my clients, is that they often feel out of place because the things they're talking about, nobody else is talking about. The things that they see, people aren't seeing it. So there's kind of this heaviness of being alone out there. And I'd want people to know you're actually not alone. There's lots of us out there. We're quietly out there, so it's hard to spot us. So one thing I would suggest is just start noticing. Look for the quiet people. Look for the more sensitive people, and you'll start to see your tribe because we're out there. And then that can start to kind of challenge that feeling that you're alone.
So gentle and beautiful from Tracy Gillett. We often look to people who are not like us, and this feeds that scarcity. But if we actively open our eyes to those who are like us, who are a little further down the road, who can be mentors, whether they're aware of it or not, and those who are right around us now, our companions. In the same way we might get overlooked in our quietness, we might do the same to others. And when we miss them, we miss a whole place of connection and a reminder that we are not alone. We must notice ourselves out there. That's such a beautiful thought. Notice ourselves out there.
Whatever you are, what your deepest needs are, dare to be yourself. You have to find out that first, but accept and honor what you find. Then take care of the real you. Don't try to be someone else or something else. And I wish equal healthy amount of self-respect and self-belief for everyone. Not too little, not too much.
I mean, so many of us never give ourselves permission to truly explore who we are. It's a call to courage, as Tula points out. It's a dare. Be yourself and see what happens. You know, we come back to those questions that we thought about in the first part of this series, with those talking about curiosity as their positive drive. Dare to be yourself. Now what happens next? Who is going to emerge? What are they going to do? How are they going to show up? Who will they help? Where will they go?
My favorite message is from Howard Thurman. And his quote is, don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is more people who have come alive. And so I think for me, the message I would want to put out there is, don't worry so much about what's going on out there. Because, and I don't mean be apathetic, but what I mean is, you can't control what's going on out there. You can't even really necessarily control how you're reacting to it internally, but you do have a lot more influence over this than you've got over anything going on out there. So if you're taking care of yourself, you're taking care of your relationships, and you are living in alignment with your values, and you're living with integrity, you're kind of getting out of everyone else's way, because you're not grumbling and bumbling around and bumping into people emotionally, physically, or otherwise. And so if you go and figure out, okay, how do I become my best self? Then that's the person that you bring to all of your interactions in the world. And that ups the value of their life just by virtue of engaging with you. And if every single person on this planet was just kind of focusing on, okay, how do I make myself come alive? We would be spending a lot more time having much more interesting conversations than how do I go about taking other people down? How do I prove that their political views are wrong? Because, they're all wrong. We're all wrong on something, and we're all right about something, so it's just, how do we bring some curiosity into the mix? Well, you do that by not taking things so personally. How do you not take things so personally? Well, you take care of yourself, and then you're less inclined to get triggered by what's going on out there.
So following on from this, rather than restricting our potential and the possibilities, ask, what reality do I want to create?
You have the power to create anything you want. So important to believe in your own agency, to believe in your power to choose. Never sell yourself short by seeing yourself as a victim or thinking that things just happen to you. Everything's just happening to you. It might be difficult to get the wheel of your life turning in a new direction, but you always have the power to choose and to create your own reality. You really do.
So Michaela touches on something quite profound here. It might take a while to really let it sink in. But if we marinate with this idea for a while, it gets kind of exciting. The reality we live really can be created by us. We really do have that kind of power and influence. Who we want to be and how we want to show up, our priorities and values, the things we focus our attention on. Nancy says, you have enormous power and potential to improve your own life and the lives of others. Take a step, go the extra mile, make a difference, even in small ways. Go. To start small and experiment. Rebel, do the unexpected, go against the grain of normality and see what happens. What kind of reality can you begin to bring into existence around you as you go?
My one message would be to start seeing your life more as a story than a series of inconsequential events. You're a character with a role to play in the unfolding drama of life on planet Earth, and that automatically makes you significant. It makes your voice significant, your thoughts and your ideas significant. It makes just your very presence of incredible value. So if we can start to move our life into seeing our life as story, it helps us somehow process times of tragedy and pointlessness and harm and all the things that happen that we don't want to happen. But all those elements do always take place in those amazing epic stories that we all love. Our heart longs for drama and romance and adventure and all those things. And these are available within our lives if we'll only look at them through the eye of a storyteller.
Oh yes, Mark. Life is a story. You get to write it, star in it, read it. What a crazy position to be in. If you've ever written fiction, I wonder if you've ever experienced this. I myself wrote a short novella about 10 years ago called The Prisoner. And despite the fact that I was kind of writing it, I was the author of it, I was always excited to find out what would happen next because the plot kind of unfolded in ways that surprised me. I know this sounds kind of weird, I knew the general arc that I thought it would travel in, and the plot. But as is the beauty of creativity, didn't always go to plan. On many occasions, I remember saying to myself, wow, I didn't see that coming, as I wrote, another little twist in the plot. And it's pretty weird when you didn't see that coming and you're writing the thing. But life is much the same.
3 words. You are enough. You are enough. I'm actually a stand for what I call radical self-love, which is this backward step from the common misunderstanding that people have that there's something missing, that they have something missing, that they're somehow not complete or broken in some way, shape, or form. And you might just check out for yourself how this is for you. Do you really feel like you're enough? Or do you feel like there's something missing and you're on a frantic search to find it? And sometimes the search isn't even that frantic, It's more subtle. It's like there's a sense that there's something missing. I don't know, there's like a hole in the soul or there's some kind of void. And then we go out and try to fill that hole or that void with externals. And those externals usually look like something like people's approval, accomplishment. What's my status? What kind of car do I drive? What kind of house do I live in? What's my family like? How do I look? And maybe the search outside of ourselves, that sort of frantic search to fill the void, is actually a call to dive more deeply in, to settle down, to stop. Now, this doesn't mean you don't have problems, because I do too. And from what I understand of life, we're going to have problems until the day we die. The problems aren't going away. If we're thinking that the problems are a problem, then we're trapped, right? Then we're like sort of wrestling with life. Doesn't feel so good. And we're thinking we're doing something wrong if life is hard, if we're going through challenge. It's like, God, what am I doing wrong that's, making it so that my life is this way? It's maybe nothing. Maybe there's nothing that you're doing wrong. And there are just inherent challenges to life. There's emotional challenges that we deal with internally. There's external, challenges that we deal with. There's, problems with the way we think about things that cause us to suffer. And there's also just, life presenting its pain.
So I wanted to finish with these words from Karina. Feels like such an appropriate way to draw these messages to a close, the reminder that you are enough. So which of these messages has spoken to you? I'd love to hear your response to this episode. As always, send me an email or drop me communication on the website or through one of my social media channels. It'd be really good to just, hear which of these messages has spoken to you. And also, I'd love to hear your answer to the question itself. What message would you like to share with the world? Would you like people to know, to believe, or to feel it's true about themselves? As always, thank you so much to all the contributors for this. And I will be back for the final part of this series very soon. And we're going to be sort of creating a conversation with a past version of ourselves, in a kind of way to conclude what we've been talking about and to take it on into the rest of our lives. See you soon. Bye.